Today we're going to be practicing using fractions when we have word problems. My hugest suggestion for you is to always sketch a picture. Fractions are already kind of hard to understand, and without that picture there's going to be a lot of numbers that you're playing around with in your head and it can get really confusing. So please always sketch a picture to help you to understand the problem. So let's go ahead and practice this first one together. Mrs. Ketchum bought 24 hamburger buns for a party. 3/4 of them got eaten. How many buns were left? Now, first thing we need to do is to sketch this idea of 3/4 and really understand what that 3/4 is telling us. That's saying 3 out of 4 buns got eaten, or 3 out of 4 sets of buns got eaten. So here I have 24 hamburger buns. I need to try to put them into 4 equal groups. Looking at right here, I can see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 columns going up and down. I know that 4 times 2 equals 8. So I could try to go ahead and group them together by putting them into groups of 2 rows. So here I have 1 group, 2 groups, 3 groups, 4 groups. So now I've gotten my denominator. I have 4 groups. Now 3 out of the 4 groups got eaten. So I need to go ahead and make sure that all the buns in 3 of those groups get eaten. So here I have 1 group that's getting eaten. Now I need 2 groups that get eaten. And then I need 3 groups that get eaten. Now I can see that 3 out of the 4 groups have gotten eaten. The question here says how many buns were left. You really have to pay attention to that key word in order to solve the problem. I don't want to know the total number of buns. I don't want to know how many buns were eaten. I want to know how many buns were left. These are the buns that were left, the 1/4 that didn't get eaten. So my answer to this problem would be that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buns were left. They did not get eaten. Go ahead and try this one yourself. There are 18 seats on a roller coaster. 8/9 of them are full. How many seats are still open? Remember, I have my 18 seats here. Think about how you could put them into 9 groups, and then 8/9 of them need to be full. Go ahead and pause the video and play it again when you're ready to check your work. The first thing I need to do is I need to make sure that I have 9 groups. So here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 groups, because this fraction says 8 out of 9 groups are full. Now I'm going to go ahead and sort my cars into those groups so that I know how many cars there is per each 9. Now I can see that there's 2 cars per each 9. Now I want 8/9 of them to be full. So I would like 8 out of my 9 groups to be full of kids. So here are 1, 2 groups that are full, 3, 4 groups that are full, 5, 6 groups that are full, 7, 8 groups that are full. 8 out of the 9 groups are full. My question says, how many seats are still open? Not how many seats are full, or not how many total seats. How many seats are still open? So these guys right here are the only seats that are still open. So in the end, I ended up with 2 seats that are still open. Did you get 2 seats that were still open? Now Now these ones are pretty nice because they told us the total number, and then they told us which fraction we were dealing with. We just had to sketch it out to be able to visually see what that fraction meant. These next couple of problems are going to seem a little more challenging because they're not going to tell us the total. They're only going to tell us a part. For example, it says, getting hungry, I ate 8 donuts. When I looked down, I was shocked that 2/3 of the package was gone. How many donuts came in the pack? I don't know how many donuts came in the pack. All I know is that I ate 8 donuts, and that was 2/3 of the package. So 1/3 of the package is still there. I need to figure out how many total donuts there was. The first thing that I always do is I think about what this fraction means. It means that there are 3 groups, and I've eaten 2 of those groups. So thinking about this, I sketch my 8 donuts, and I try to put them into 2 groups, because I've eaten 2 out of the 3 groups. Looking right here, I have 8 donuts. I would like to have 2 groups. 1, 2, because that's my numerator, 2 groups. So I'm going to sort my donuts. Oops. 1 donut for you, 1 donut for you, so on and so forth, until all of my donuts have been sorted into the 2 groups that I have eaten. There, that worked out nicely. Each group has 4 donuts. Now, in this fraction, it says that I should have 3 total groups. So I have to think about how it can be fair. If each of these 2 groups has 4, how many donuts should my last group have? Well, if you said 4, that'd be correct. We have to be fair and have equal sized groups. So if those top 2 each have 4, this bottom group should have 4 as well. So here are the 8 donuts that I ate. It's 2 out of the 3 groups. Now I have all of my donuts visualized. These are the ones that I ate. These are the ones that are left. I ate 8. It's 2 out of the 3 groups. Now the question says how many donuts came in a pack. So I want to know the total donuts, including the ones I ate. So I ate 8, plus there's 4 more, so that'd be 9, 10, 11, 12. I bought 12 donuts. I ate 8 of them, which was 2/3 of the package. Let's try another example together. A group of teachers sat down and put report cards in envelopes. After stuffing 5 envelopes, Mrs. Sanders realized she was only 1/6 of the way done. How many more envelopes does she have to stuff? Well, let's think about what this fraction means. It means that there are 6 groups, and she has filled in 1 group. So thinking about the 5 envelopes that she had, that would be 1 group. Because I can see my fraction says 1 out of 6. Now I need to take this same group, and I need to build it up so I end up with 6 groups. So here is 1 group. Here would be another set. Another set. And another set. Another set. And another set. Now I can see I have 6 total groups. Each group has the same amount in it. Mrs. Sanders has stuffed these 5, which was 1 out of the 6 groups. These envelopes that are still over here have yet to be stuffed. Now the question says, how many more envelopes does she have to stuff? How many are left in the picture that she hasn't done yet? Well, each group has 5, and she would have 5 groups that she hasn't done yet. So that would be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 that she still has to do. Notice how important it is to read that question. It's not what is the total, but it's how many she has left to do. She's already done 5, or 1/6. We had to figure out the remaining 5/6, which is 25 envelopes. Notice how I started again by thinking about what that fraction meant, 1 out of 6. Remember, she has done 1 group, so I made sure that all 5 of her envelopes fit into 1 group. Then I had to take the groups that I had already found and duplicate them so that I have a total of 6 groups. I always go back and double check my work by thinking about, do I have 6 equal groups? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. is one of those groups what she has done? 5 envelopes. Yep, one of those groups is what she has done, which is 5 envelopes. So why don't you go ahead and try it yourself? Really think about the steps. Mrs. Dieters decided to go out for lunch one day and treat some friends. She spent 3/5 of all the money in her wallet. The meal cost $24. How much money did she have in her wallet before going out to eat? And how much money does she have left now? Really think about what this fraction of 3/5 means. It means that her money can be divided into 5 equal sections, and that this $24 is 3 of those sections. So think about how you could put her $24 into 3 equal groups. Really pay attention to what each one of these questions is asking. You will get 2 different numbers based on what the questions have asked. Go ahead and pause the video now and press play when you're ready to check your work. Okay, let's go ahead and try this one together. I already have her dollar signs drawn. Now, I have to understand what this 3/5 is telling me. It means that she has spent 3 groups out of 5. So I'm going to go ahead and start by drawing her 3 groups that she has already spent. Now I'm going to take the $24 that she spent and share it in those 3 groups. I already drew $24 signs here, so I know that as soon as I run out of dollar signs, that I've equally shared all the money that she had spent. Just go back and forth with each one, making sure that each one gets the same amount, because we know that with fractions, they have to be fair groups. They all have to have the same amount. I'm getting close now to having all of my dollar signs. And this last one would fill up the last one. Now I can see that each group has 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, $8 in it. So within this fraction of 3/5, we're talking about groups of $8. Now, in order to visualize this, I have to think about adding on 2 more groups that she hasn't spent yet. So here's a group. And here's a group that she hasn't spent yet. So these are the 3/5 she has spent for a total of $24 that she spent. And then to make it fair, here's the other 2 groups that she hasn't spent yet. My first question says, how much money did she have in her wallet before going out to eat? So that's asking me what was the total amount of money. Each group has 8, so that would be 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8. Or 8 times 5, since there's 5 circles. Well, I know 8 times 5 is 40, so Mrs. Dieters had $40 in her wallet before she went out to eat. Now my next question is a different question. It's asking how much does she have left now. That would be the money she hasn't spent yet. So that would be 8 plus 8, which would mean she has $16 left in her wallet. Notice how we have different answers because the questions ask us for 2 separate things. So again, those steps is first you really have to understand what that fraction is saying. The top number are the groups that you are dealing with, whether it's the donuts you have eaten, the envelopes you have stuffed, the money that you have spent. The bottom number is the total number of groups. When you are given a part, just the 3/5, you really have to take the amount that you're dealing with and break it into the numerator, into the number of groups. So for 24, we broke it up into 3 groups. For 5, we broke it up into 1 group, so all of 5 went into 1. For 8, we broke it up into 2 groups. After you know how much is in one group, then you can duplicate those groups until you have the total number of groups, which is your denominator. So we had 3 groups first. We took 24 and broke it up into those 3 groups because we have spent 3/5 of the money. And then once we knew what was in each group, we could duplicate those groups until we have 5 groups. The last thing you have to do is just really read the question carefully to make sure that you're answering it correctly. So if you know if you're figuring out the total, or for figuring out the part that's remaining. Practice these now with some of the activities that are linked on our websites.